Hey there, welcome back to part 2. This is the bow, crown, and body chain series. If you haven't seen part 1, please go back. I talk a little bit about the inspiration of where this came from and why I decided to make it. So in this, I'm going to talk about the process. I talked a little bit about being burned by the burner community in the last video. I am a very resilient creature and I will figure it out. I love Marie Forleo's mantra, everything is figure outable, because that has been my experience in life. I will fucking figure it out. And so after, just being, feeling like I was judged and excluded from a community I don't really care to be part of, I kept my feelers out. I just had an open mind. And one day I walked into the dollar store. I can't remember why. I don't shop there often, but I go in there for very few things. And I found this metal tree topper. And I was like, that is a 6-pointed star that I could totally bend into this crown. So I bought like 2 or 3 of them and I took it to my love and I was like, what do you think? And he was like, this isn't gonna work, it's too flimsy. It's the metal is the cheapest metal that they could actually possibly make. So this little crown cost $1. This little piece cost $1. And I was like, well, what if I wrapped it in twill and, gave it some heft? And he's like, well, I don't know, you can try it. So I did. So I wrapped it in twill, and this is a picture of that finished product. And it started to look like the thing. And I was like, holy crap, this is it. And he said, I don't know if it's going to work. This is metal. You're attaching metal and the weight of the rhinestones. It's probably going to break. And I was like, well, I'm willing to take that chance, and we'll just make a new one. We'll figure it out. We'll find a welder. We'll figure it out. But I want this done, like, before the end of the year. And so I kept forward. I kept going on with it. And the whole process of making this beautiful thing was an experiment. Like, it was totally an experiment. And it worked out. So you can kind of see. I'm going to hold it up. I have also a picture. But all of this is part of a dollar store crown. Or tree topper. It's all part of a dollar store tree topper. And it makes me giggle because that thing, I could probably sell it for at least $2,000, just as it is. I won't, because I love it. And I'm not really interested in making another one. Maybe a different color. Maybe like black rhinestones. That would be cool. But anyway, once I had that sorted out and we're like, all right, we just need more chain. We measured, and the way the chain goes together and comes apart is really easy to work with. Just need pliers. And so we constructed the entire piece before we embellished it, and then we embellished it. And the embellishment was really hard. Like, it took a long time. And all of these rhinestones are glued on here. So this isn't the traditional Showgirl body chain like in the Jubilee show, where those were all cupped rhinestones. This is all glued rhinestones. And I made this in 2016, so it's been 4 years, because it was the end of 2016. It's only been 4 years, but I've only replaced a handful of rhinestones. So it has lasted pretty well, and I've worn it a lot, and it's traveled a lot. Like, it went all the way to, I took it to Vegas. I don't know why I took it to Vegas, but I've taken it places. Not Paris, but I've taken it places, and it's a hefty thing to be carrying in a suitcase. Anyway, the process of the choker was really interesting. So I had already ordered the chain. I found the chain, and that finding the chain was the impetus to create body chains to sell and for all of my costumes. And I wanted it to be super sturdy. In the show in Jubilee, all of the chokers were made out of metal, so it was like jewelry. It was metal jewelry, but it was also backed by fabric. So I wanted mine to last longer, so I backed it with leather. And I think I have a vintage Showgirl choker that was made out of leather, and that's what gave me the idea to do it. And so I set all of the chain through the metal. The metal pieces were poked through the leather, and then, so those mothers have not come off. And then I glued the rhinestones on. So I used the suede part of the leather, and then I glued the rhinestones on. And I think I've only had to replace one mirror. Sorry, not rhinestones, mirror. Only had to, oh no, that needs to be fixed. But do you see anything familiar? This little piece used to be this little piece. So I started taking parts of the Creme Deluxe Showgirl costume and using it on my solo costumes because I knew I wasn't going to do that act anymore. And if I could take this apart and use it if I wanted to. But I was like, no, I'm probably never going to do that number again. So basically I just echoed all of the look of the rhinestones and the embroidery of the G-string, and then I made bracelets for this act out of the same piece. So I took their hair pieces, I only have that one left, and they became bracelets. The other part of the costume was the butt piece, and I didn't want to be fully exposed. My boobs were fine, I was totally fine with that. But I was like, okay, well, I'll do a little bit of burlesque in there, and I will expose my butt by the end. So I had a butt piece that I used to take off in the act when I first started doing the act. And then I totally was like, fuck the striptease. No, I'm keeping my feathers covering my butt. So there were 3 iterations of the butt piece, and we settled on, and I don't own it anymore because that butt piece has become another costume. But it first was an 8-foot boa, and an 8-foot boa is more expensive than a 6-foot boa, as you can imagine. I think it was like $250, something like that, 2 extra feet. And we made this cute little thing that slipped into a pocket I made. So I made a little pocket in the G-string so it could slip in. At first, my love made a wire thing that gripped the G-string, but it kept coming undone. So then I was like, I need something that slips into a pocket. So the first iteration was one that had like clamps, and then the feathers would come out of it. And then the final one was the one where it just had more feathers, and then that was the tuck-in one. So 3 different iterations, finished with 2 boas, making up this beautiful feather butt piece that I didn't take off anymore at the end of that act. So I only have videos of this. I don't have any photos. So next week I'll talk about the cost of these beautiful things. It was a lot for one costume, but I have worn this costume more than any other costume except for my Seaside Rendezvous costume. So tune in next week to part 3, where I talk about the cost and all the stats. How much does this weigh? I bet you want to know. See you next week. Bye.